You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube on the WCEG Network. I'm Wardell Richardson, your show host, right here on WCEGWood, Hollywood of the South for the next hour. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio. That's WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. That's WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions of those that are show hosts and guests and not those of WCEG Networks. Thanks for your support. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. You know, I got to start my new year off with a bang. And I had to bring in somebody who's doing some amazing things in the industry. But before I introduce my guest to the show, I just have a few updates. Once again, I'm Wardell Richardson, actor, producer, director, writer, host of WCEGWood, Hollywood of the South, and CEO of Rain Dance Films. I'm excited about this year. We got some exciting things going on this year with my film company, with the radio show. I'm just very excited. 2023, it's going to be off the chain. You hear what I'm saying? It's about to be off the chain. So everybody I know at the end of every year, everybody say, look, what's my New Year's resolution? What I'm trying to do? You know, what's going to be my goal for this year? Guess what? One thing you have to do is pray about it. Second thing you have to do is focus on it. Make sure that you focus on what your goals are. Make sure that you're around people who are like-minded people who are going to help you achieve your goals. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of times people get caught up in relationships, get caught up in friendships, get caught up in a whole bunch of mess and drama and throw you completely off track, because that's what the devil tries to do. He tries to get you off track. So I'm here to tell you, focus. Stay focused. Get those negativity objects, beings, whoever out of your way, and focus on your goals. That's just my thought for something just told me to say that to y'all today. With that, without further ado, I also want to say this. Of course, you know, WCEG is always growing. We're doing bigger and better things every year. And Penny, who is the queen of WCEG, is always on the move. So guess what? We now have an app where you can go and watch our shows live on the app, watch past shows on the app, listen to music. It's going to be the bomb, y'all. And right now, if you are listening to this right now, go on your Apple phone to the Apple Store and download WCEG Talk Radio. If you have an Android, go to Google Play, download WCEG Android. If you have Alexa, go and tell Alexa to look up WCEG Talk Radio, so that you can listen to this show live and share this with your friends. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking at this show right now, share it with your friends. Let them know that we got some things popping right here at WCEG. Go and download those apps. Once again, WCEG Talk Radio in the Apple Store, on Google Play, and Alexa. Make sure you go and download that now. Now, if you haven't, and I mention this every time, every show, I have several movies that are on Amazon Prime right now that I either produced, starring in, directed, several of them. So if you haven't checked them out, make sure you go and check them out. Addiction by Subtraction is on there. It's a psychological film I did a long time ago with the late, great Tommy Ford. Had a great time shooting that film with him. Flesh, which is based off human trafficking. Make sure you go check that out. The 30-Day Rule, a romantic comedy that I did. A lot of people have seen that, and a lot of people have called me and gave me great reviews about it. I've even gotten an award for it. So make sure you go and check that movie out. And A Killing Secret, which is my directorial debut. That movie has done well, all the way to LA, getting awards. It's done great. And I had a great time doing that project. So make sure you go on Amazon Prime. You can put my name in, and several of those movies, all of those movies will pop up, and just pick what you want to watch. And if you like it, send me a message. If you hate it, send me a message. I want to know the good and the bad. You know, I'm not one of those people who sit back and be like, you know, I don't want to hear that, this, that, and the other. You know, some people like some things, some people don't like some things, you know.
Right.
So I just want to let my fans, my friends, my family, anybody who watch anything I do, I'm open. Send me a message. Let me know that you support your boy. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. You can literally hate it. Just call me and say, hey, I support you. Saw your film. Didn't like it, but I support you, my man. I'm okay, cool. I love that. You know, support is everything. I've done a lot of projects. I love a lot of them. Some of them I'm kind of iffy about, real talk. But for the most part, I do great projects. Everybody I work with work really hard on them. So make sure you go out and support your boy. I'm on Amazon Prime. Just put my name in, and all the movies will pop up. Now, without further ado, I wanted to start the year off popping with something hot. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to bring somebody on who's really doing something in this industry, making some moves, you know, doing movies, theater, books. Man, this guy's doing it all. So without further ado, here is my man, Shawn Hutchinson. What's going on, my brother?
How is it? I'm good. Great. Appreciate you for having me on, by the way.
No doubt, man. You're doing some great things, like I said, and I had to bring you on, start off the year with a bang. This is 2023. You know, I before the show started, I was telling people saying stuff about, you know, the goals for this year and stuff. You got any goals set for this year that you're trying to achieve?
So at the start of the show, you mentioned about New Year's resolution, and so for me, I don't do that.
Okay.
I just more so focus on making a decision, following through on that. So for goals, I just set projects. Since I kind of work in the space of projects, I put the outline projects that we need to accomplish, and I set out to accomplish those. Sometimes when I set up goals, it's as if I'm setting a marker, and then, you know, if you accomplish it, you know, you kind of track it based on where you're at, and it just become mundane for me after a while. So now my philosophy is I can't stop until it's done. So I'm gonna give myself a timeline to get a project done, and I'm gonna go at it, and I'm gonna get it done within that timeline. So kind of how it's a psychological thing for me, and that's how I work now. You know, so I map out my plan for a certain project or a certain whatever it is that I have before me, and then I just pursue that until I'm done with it.
Gotcha.
So that's how I kind of play around with that. It's really my mind game that I play for myself. You know?
All right. All right. So some of the people are asking questions. They want to know what's your nationality. They hear an accent in your voice.
So born in Jamaica, Jamaican born. Grew up in Connecticut. Then I went to England. Then I came back to Connecticut. Now I'm in the South. So I've been around a bit, just traveling. So you pick up a bit everywhere you go. You know, I went to Pace University in New York. You know, so it just depends on where you're at. So you just kind of like get a good blend of different demographics. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay. So give us a little bit about how you got started in the entertainment business.
So my background is banking. So I started in banking. Prior to that, my father is an executive chef. He worked for Pitney Bowes for a number of years. And at about 18, 19 years old, his goal for me was he wanted me to become an entrepreneur. And so I learned that from 18 when he started a restaurant and literally handed to me to do pretty much to build this thing out. And I remember the first day we had one customer when we opened the restaurant. 5 years later, we became the #1 American and Jamaican infusion cuisine in Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was a big success for us as a family success. And so in that space of time, I interact with a lot of different atmosphere. And when I started going to college, I remember I had an English teacher, and she was one of those English teachers that taught literature at a different level. She really got you to get interested into really wanting to deep dive into whatever project was on the table, whatever her subject matter was. And so I remember we had to do a study on Othello by Shakespeare. And what she did for me was one of the most phenomenal things, because At that time, I just started attending church, and my pastor then assigned me to teach Sunday school. Now, listen, I've never taught Sunday school. I ain't taught, taught nothing, right?
Right.
But spiritual fathers have that intuition or that insight. It's okay. There's something about this young man. You remember those days, right? And so it challenged me with that responsibility. And so with that, I started to find ways to keep the youth interested in church, because 20 years ago, youth they just want to play basketball, don't really want to come with the church. And so I was trying to finesse around, what can I do to get them to come to the programs, to come to FTH and Tuesday night Bible study and Friday night outings. And so I started to write small little skits, from the Bible. So I just take a Bible verse, break it down, and create a small little skit from that and make it entertaining. And it started to pick up a lot of steam, and then it kind of flow over into Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, I have my little group doing skits, and it just exploded into me starting the first drama club within that church. And it was a 400-member church. So it wasn't a big church, but it's like 400 members. But it was huge for us because youth were now
that's a pretty big church. That's a pretty big church.
Yeah, back then it was like a big church. Now it's like, but still, it was huge because it was community. And then on top of that, to have the youth getting involved, and it grew from about 5 youth I started with to over 60. So it was crazy. Then we start performing at different churches in our community. And so they always say the children are the future of tomorrow, especially in the church, right? So that was a big thing. And so to connect that with the university, we did Othello. And I remember she had us read Othello first. Didn't understand a thing I was reading, man. It was just like reading Spanish.
I'm about to say, because I had to read Othello without it. That's a hard...
Man, it was a hard read. Like I'm trying to, I know, like I was reading the Bible all over again. But then what she did, she had us then go watch the movie Othello, and then have to come back and discuss the lit. And what was powerful about it was my favorite character, the one I hated the most, was Iago. Hated that guy.
Right.
Didn't like him. But it was his deception that really caught my attention. And so me going back, start writing plays, I started to find a way to kind of, construct my way of telling stories. And that's pretty much how I kind of delve into it. So from that experience, it gave me the confidence to keep on writing more plays for the church.
Okay.
So when I moved south, I got involved in, I decided to write a book. And that's when I wrote my first book, Real Men Can Wear Pink, and got that published. And Dominic Wilkins did the forward in that book for me.
Okay. So you said, what's the name of that book? The book you wrote?
Real Men Can Wear Pink.
Okay. Because I saw you also wrote a book called The Secret of the Ambitious Mind.
That's my latest book. Yeah, that's my latest book. The Secret of the Ambitious Mind. That's one I wrote after Real Men Can Wear Pink.
Okay. And what was the idea behind writing that book?
Which one?
The first one.
Real Men. So when I came to Georgia, I started to join the mentoring program in Gwinnett County. And so when I started mentoring, it was a bit frustrating when I identified how many young male figures did not have a father figure to represent them. And so it got to the point where I figured I needed to kind of develop some type of message to send out to tell men that, listen, we can no longer just sit on the sideline and cheer on. We need to get into the game. We need to get out here. Talk is cheap. Let's get in the game and help them figure it out, because these young men needed to figure out how to fulfill their life dreams and potential, right? And so rather than me just talking about it, I challenged my son to write his book at 12. Well, actually 10, 11 years old. And he actually did write his book and got it published called Just Imagine It. And so we did just Real Men Can Wear Pink. And I presented Dominic Wilkins. He reviewed the book and he loved it because it was an oxymoron. I said, real men can wear pink. And the can was comfortable against the norm. Because, quote unquote, some men don't like wearing pink because it's girly, whatever it was. Yeah. And so I'm saying that's the thing. Most men sit inside a bar or the little, cubbies, and they talk about, well, this young man over here is a really bad one, or that young man is never going to mount up to anything, or just the talk they talk oftentimes. And for me, that wasn't the solution. So when I got into working with these youth in Gwinnett County, I realized that they needed inspiration, but more so transformation. And motivation wasn't enough. And so I helped them to develop a program, even when I was there, to really impact this youth. And so I mentor, up until now, I still have a mentee that's in college that I still stay in touch with and still connect with. So that was the motivation behind that book.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question since you touched on that, because, you know, I was raised without a father figure. So what, and I changed that narrative because, you know, my kids, and you see me with my kids, I refuse to not be in their life. Why do you think there is such a rise or so many men that are not involved in their children's lives?
My opinion is this. I just think we have and again, in my opinion, I think we have too many weak men.
Yeah, I agree.
Who they don't see responsibility or accountability as responsibility or accountability.
Right.
It's always, it seems or appears to be, well, I don't have to. It seems as if no one is holding their hand to the fire, then if things get tough or rough, or here's one experience I had. One mother I work with, and she and her 15-year-old son, if I'm not lying, and their father, well, the father and her separated. Well, the next thing the father told the wife, the ex-wife at that point, well, he don't want having to do with his son because the son looks like the mom.
What?
Yeah. So this is real story, okay? This was in banking too, and it was my client. So the idea that now your view of not wanting to be anything with your son is because your son reminds you of her mom, and you and her mom have an issue. To me, that's just a cop-out way of not wanting to take responsibility, right?
Right.
And so for me, I just think there's too many weak men. It's just way too many weak men. And I think I can't say the system helped to develop them because, you know, where I'm from, you know, I've seen my grandfather work. I've seen my uncles work. There was no easy way out. You put the effort in, you get the result. You know, so I just think there's too many weak men.
I agree.
There's too many weak men.
I agree. I just feel like they don't want the responsibility. They don't want to help raise, to help feed into these young men and to help them raise, because fathers don't understand how imperative they are in their children's lives. You know, my daughter is prime for this because she is such a daddy's girl, and she don't want to do anything without daddy. You know, and it's like she's watching everything I do, and I'm the model for whoever she's going to be with in her future. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the women out here, I feel like, or the guys, they get lost a lot of times in their personal lives as they grow up, because I have sons too, but I found it hard to connect to my boys because I've never been connected to a man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I see.
And I can connect to my daughter a lot easier because I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. You see what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So it's I don't think, and it really messes with my mind. I know that's something I had to work with. So I work even harder to connect with my boys just because I know that that's where I came from. I want to just change the whole narrative of that.
Right. And so there's absentee fathers, and you got just fathers that not there. Like I was for the part of my life, absentee father was missing, not because he didn't want to be there, but because of how it was set up. So he was in England studying, and at that point I was still in Jamaica, so he couldn't be there physically, right? Financial support, while at the same time you're still going to put out a father figure in the house, right? So I had mom, I had grandma, I got aunts. And those are people surrounding. And I think because of that type of nurturing I received from them, somebody asked me this question recently, and I said, you know what? I think I'm able to love at a different level because I was nurtured by females versus I was nurtured by my dad. And the reason why I said it's because my daddy was a soldier. He was tough, and everything for him was like, for my mom and my aunts, my grandparents and my grandmas, they were like more nurturing love.
Right.
And that worked out in my favor because I've learned how to hack that and understand how to love on females, but also to respect them at a different level. Can communicate with men very effectively because I realize there's a lot of missing components when it comes on to the way that we need to think about our responsibilities and how we can enforce to make sure our family is stronger. And even in the real band Can We Pink, I really focus on that heavily, that men can make a difference, but they have to take the charge to want to make it happen. It's a decision. It's not rocket science, man. It's really a decision. Am I going to stand in the gap and fix problems and be here, or I'm not going to be here? It's really that simple.
Right. It's really that simple. You're right.
It's really that simple.
You're right. You know, it's to me, it's about how important your children are to you and how much do you want to be effective in their life. You can always change the narrative. You know, just like I changed the narrative. My father wasn't around, but I know how it feels to not have a father in your life. So I want to make sure I'm in my kids' life. You know.
See, and I don't want to, and I can't remember verbatim, but in Fences with Denzel Washington, you know, when he asked his son the question, you know, and it was like, well, why you think, you know, I love it, whatever, and he's giving him those.
I remember answers. That.
And it was like, listen, no, it's my responsibility. You don't hold me nothing for doing this.
Right.
You're my responsibility. In short, what he's saying, no, it's my responsibility to make sure that you're good.
Right.
If the goal is to get you to college, go play football, soccer, whatever the case is, it's my responsibility to make that happen. And when I'm done, I'm done. You don't hold me nothing. You know, I'm not doing you a favor by doing it. You know, I think men need to kind of really grasp that and take ownership of that. So, well, my son or my daughter, that's mine. My responsibility to make sure they become something great in society. And that's simple.
Yeah. And I know that scene you're talking about. I actually posted that before on my page because it was such an impactful scene. I
really was.
Wow,
really
that was impactful. So after you wrote the book, you got into doing some theater, some stage plays.
Yeah.
And the first one was Karma, I think it was.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Karma. All right. And what was the drive by to do that stage play?
It was so we, you know, the idea is that what goes around comes around, karma, bad energy. And so I wanted to kind of play on the a little bit on the emotional of people. Because I say karma, the flow of positive energy. So I kind of switch it around. But the play itself stemmed from, so a lot of conversations I normally have with different people, you know, I gather material from, you know, I get material from talking to people sometimes. And I see sometimes some common denominators among us as human beings, whether it be male or female. And so karma was set up where sometimes I think innocent love, what is innocent for you may be serious for somebody else. And that toyed around with the can be misconstrued, misunderstood, can become devastating. And so karma is really about love. It's really about a female that had made a commitment to herself, like a life goal for herself, that she never want to be like her past family members. You know, she wanted to keep herself till she get married. She didn't want to get into intimacy or anything like that. She just want to kind of be that person. And then she fell in love with this college sweetheart, who for him, intimacy wasn't that meaningful. It was just like, you know, play type of deal, right? And so it was two different worlds colliding, because there was somebody who really wanted something different and somebody else who didn't see it that way. And there was no communication to say, you know, what level. She was in love with him. He liked her. She had a different meaning of what that's supposed to be. He did. And so that happened. Fast forward in the play, it picks up where now he's married in his life. He's a pastor, having the best life ever. And she wasn't the one that he was married to. And so now she's sitting down and thinking to herself, you know, I give myself to this man. This is what I wanted. He had the life that I wanted. And she can't get over the fact of what happened to her, because she can never be what again, right? And so she wanted to give him one more chance to redeem himself, to say, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you like that. And so she masked herself to get into his environment. She did, through a bunch of different details. They got to see the play to see all the things that she did. Very conniving, deceptive things. But she did it before. And then when she got into it, she recognized that he didn't remember who she was. So like 15 years, he didn't remember who she was. And at that point, karma emerged because she got bitter. And so the track from
that's real life stuff.
Real life stuff. And so it resonates. And so all the shows, and of course, I wanted the best director, Tiffany Roberts. I mean, I just love that lady. She's the bomb. She's the bomb. When I brought it to her and said, okay, we're gonna do this, she said, yeah, we're gonna do it. And we killed it. We're bringing it back this year, by the way.
Tiffany is one of the greatest people. She's part of my team as well.
Yeah. I think, and that's the thing. I'm glad you said that too, because touching that point, I think sometimes when we are building, like any other platform, we are building, right? We tend to. Denzel Washington was working at the YMCA before he went off and tried to, and he went off. He was discovered and kind of invoked himself into an environment where he became the Denzel Washington we know today. He didn't start out at stardom, right? It was just this young man helping out the YMCA, right? Kevin Hart, for example, Philly, doing his thing, and he worked his buns to get where he's at. My point is, oftentimes when we are at the bottom building up, you don't get enough support from your community or your people around you sometimes. Until when you start getting acknowledged at the higher level, you still need the support, but that's when everybody come and want to join the ship. And so one of the biggest thing for me this year is really to really advocate for us to the masses, to our community. Say, hey, give us a chance, because a lot of the local talents, like I work with all my local talents. I go for local talents. I'm big on that. Once they're willing to work hard, because we're not playing around. We want them to put the work in, get your acting classes in, get your stuff in right. Don't do an Instagram post and say you're actress or actor. Like that doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
Put the work in and then come to the table that we can actually grow together, right? So I have some serious actors that work with me. And so my goal is to make sure that we can showcase them, that the world can see their talent, to keep on supporting them, right? But I just wish more people would get behind our platform and see, the story we told, it was done independently. It didn't look like Hollywood, because guess what? We ain't got Hollywood money just yet, right?
Right.
But if you're supporting this project, the next project is gonna be level up, and level up and level up. It's what I'm saying. And so rather than man, that shot was terrible, or well, we can't afford to pay for the 7 seasons over here to get that big old fancy product design. We have to use the backyard to tell the story. And sometimes the stories, you're right, sometimes it's better than a lot of the stories we see on Netflix. I'm just being real, right? Yeah. But we can't get to flush it out the way we need to, because finances are tight sometimes. But if we get the support, step by step, we're gonna elevate to the next level, and that's what we need to focus on a lot.
I think us as Black people, we definitely need to support each other a lot more. I talk about this all the time. A lot of people, they come and they say they want to support, and then when it's time to come up and put down and actually support, then they got all this negative stuff to say, and it's almost like they don't believe you're gonna actually make it, or
that part. That part.
like you're gonna actually do what you say you're gonna do. It's just a whole nother thing when it comes to that. Now it's very frustrating, because I love to support my Black people. Like I go to premieres, I go to movie premieres, I go to theatrical performances. I do a whole bunch of different things. So I love supporting people.
And I'm big on that. I try to get out there to support all our team, because that's how we're going to succeed to the next level.
You all right over there, Shawn?
Hey, give me 1 second. My thing is just fouled up. It's going to just die on us. Can't afford that.
Well, just let that, if you're talking about the screen, we can just let that be dark if it needs to be.
Nicely. It's actually my iPad just came down.
Okay, because we got to get on with the show here.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. Can't put up the cutoff on us. Okay, cool.
Everything good?
Everything's
all right, so
solid.
you did another play, When Heaven Invades Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What was the idea behind that play?
The premise of that play was it's really, so when heaven invades earth, and it's actually in the message, but it's somewhat subliminal, right? When heaven invades earth, when Jesus come in, life changes. So the idea is when you invite Jesus into your life, things can happen. Faith in action, things actually does happen. And so we focus heavily on that. So the production is about a man that was given 7 days to live. Well, 5 days to live, actually, because he needed a liver transplant. And, you know, an event like that, for a person to live, that means somebody has to die. And a part of the story is a true story. And that part is actually a true story, that segment. And so when I wrote the play, that wasn't in the play. It was more so just about an angel experience. But a close friend of mine had that experience, went back, rewrite the play, incorporate inside there, and it was a powerful piece. Because the events that took place for him to have the liver transplant is nothing less a miracle. If we believe in miracles, that was one. Because he ended up getting the liver transplant. But you got to watch the play to see the rest. But it was really powerful production. A lot of testimony came back because I remember the last one we did, there was a family inside the audience who the daughter was going, they came up from Alabama to see the production, and they were going in for a kidney transplant. And she was extremely scared. And she emailed us to let us know that this is what they're going on. But after watching the play, her daughter built the confidence to go in and do this, the kidney transplant, and to pray for her. And they followed up with us, let us know it was successful, and how much they thank us for bringing that production to life, because that's the experience that they had. So it's a really good product. We're going to bring it back as well. We toured to South Carolina, saw the show there as well. So it's a play that we intend to do again a couple more times, actually.
Oh man, that's a deep story to do, and for somebody to be touched from it and actually go get you know, their surgery done because they saw what you had done. Is that the goal that you try to put out when you do your stage plays?
Yeah. For me, it's important for us to impact our audience, and my philosophy is all the same time emotionally, right? And I think that's where they get connected to you, right? So I'm trying to hopefully tell stories that resonate, that can be transforming one way or the other. And if I can accomplish that with every production I put out, then I think I'm winning. You know, I really want to impact lives on that level.
Right. Now, what's been the biggest challenge you've had in doing your stage play productions?
This part is gonna sound fake, but it's real. And I think my dear beloved Tiffany would agree with me. I can't say I have any big challenge, and I'm gonna say why. For me, every setback is a learning opportunity, right? But I haven't had any chaos where I'm like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that, because I've been fortunate to have a great team around me, and they make it work. I would say flawlessly, but almost flawlessly, even when we face small little knick-knack challenges. So the actors, they are great. You know, I have people like Kathy Taylor who work on my team. You got Tiffany Roberts, you know, you got Charlotte Cody who produced with me. It's just the people you surround yourself with, and everybody understand, okay, this is what we're trying to accomplish. And so everybody take on their piece. You know, like for example, if I write a production and I may start out directing it, then I call Tiffany once it's time for her to take it over. I'm out of her way. I don't need to stand in her way and help her direct. Like that don't make any sense, right? She come in and I already trust her with the project. I trust her. She understands the goal. She's going to kill it. I don't need to sit back and worry about, okay, is it going to be right? You know what I mean? Production design, I said, Miss Taylor, this is what I'm looking for. I need this to happen. It's going to happen. You know, so I think for me, I've been extremely fortunate, even with other productions I'm doing, to have just the right teammates around me to help to make it come to fruition. Now I'm not saying I'm not going to face any, but so far I really don't have any that I will complain really crazy about.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have a good team. It comes with like you say, you have to trust the person that you with. You know that when they come in, they're gonna do their job. You don't have to be over them. You don't have to, go through this whole rigmarole of trying to make sure where they supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do. I do know Tiffany Roberts. She's been on the show several times. Everybody know who she is. And she's a very close friend of mine as well. So, and Kathy Taylor as well. So, you definitely got a great squad of people. That is for sure.
You got to build, build a team and trust your people. For real.
So then you decide to do a movie.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother ball game compared to theater. So how much of a change and transition for that was it for you?
So what if I tell you we did the other one? So I would speak of the movie I'm working on right now, but the first project I did after writing my book was the movie Burning Bridges.
Okay.
And so that I consider that, and that's the first time me and Tiffany, Miss Roberts, started working together, because it was a stage play, and I found it a book I didn't know at that point, and I introduced myself to her. We met and went over the at that point, the script, and she was like, "No, this is not a play. It's too deep. You gotta make it into a movie." I'm like, "What?" She said, "Movie." I'm like, "Do you understand? You said a movie, right?" So she said, "Yeah, you need to go back and rewrite it." No, mind you, asking me to rewrite a play into a script. Now, I've never written
a screenplay
movie before.
Yeah.
A screenplay, nothing. So you know how I did this? I remember this was back in 2013. I went to Barnes and Nobles. I sat on the floor and I saw piling books around me. Figure out how to start writing a screenplay, how you set this thing up.
Right.
And I did that, sent it back to her the best way I could. And we formulated and get the script done, and we went ahead and shoot the movie. Now, funding that period of time was not difficult because I pulled up my whole 401k at the time to fund the project.
Right.
And I consider that to be my most expensive university as far as a crash course, because that was work, because I've never done anything like it before, Right. But I think what made it phenomenal, we gained a lot of, even until today, actors that was in Burning Bridges are still working with me today, right now, in the plays, different movie projects, because of the chemistry that was created on set. And if you interview them, they'll tell you that's one of the best set they've been on. Every weekend we shot was beyond smooth. The challenges again that we faced was rectify. Beyond Day was a part of my line producer at the time. Of course, Tiffany was the director. Lonnie was one of the production manager, I think, on set. Byron Irby was my DP. So we just had a great team that Tiffany had pulled together for that movie. And again, me just being an anchor person trying to get involved. So that was a learning experience. Now, talking about the new movie that I'm working on, that's a different beast. Because this one requires a lot of funding. It requires a lot of locations. It requires all that it needs to bring me to have a theoretical release. And in order for me to do that, it's not that fun. It's a lot of work. I find myself playing politics now, because where I need to shoot it, where I need to shoot it, I don't want to compromise location. I don't want to compromise. I don't want to compromise the experience to really bring it to flush it out properly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm meeting with chief of police. I'm meeting with mayor to be elected. It's a small town I want to use, and so I'm trying to get all the locations through rubbing shoulders with these individuals to make it happen. So yeah, it's a different beast.
Which the easiest, the theater or film?
I have liked for both, but I think
It's hard to compare, huh?
It really is, because the experiences are so different.
Yeah, they're so different. You're right.
Yeah, the experiences are different. They really are, because theater, there's no stop and go. It's go,
Right.
all go.
Right.
But it's a lot of work before go. Weeks of rehearsal and then go, right? Production, it's just a lot more work for production, really. I think, because there's a lot more wardrobe, a lot more of everything.
Right.
So theater is easier. Filming is a lot more involved. So of course, it requires a whole lot more.
Yeah, I always said anybody who get into this industry should start in theater, because theater is going to test you 100%. When you hit that stage, it's no stop. It's all go. You have to know how to improv. If you forget your line, you just got. And I tell people, if you go see the same show 2 times in a row or 3 times in a row, you're gonna see something different every time. Because it's the same show.
But you see the same thing, you see different things.
Right.
And funny enough, when I audition, when I'm doing auditions for actors, whenever I see theater on the resume, on their card, it's a big plus for me, because that tells me that they already accomplished a huge feat as far as memorization, because they have to capture the material and the minutes. So that makes it a lot easier on film now, because then when it's film time, they can get into characters a lot faster and not worrying about how to remember their lines or calling over lines, and you got to stop and go. You know what I mean? So all the actors I work with right now, I think all of them has done theater before, and it makes our production go so much faster. We're currently working on a new sitcom called Daniel's Den. We already shot 4 episodes. It's a new sitcom, TV sitcom we're working on, and because all of them, majority of them have theater background, we shoot an episode per day. Period. When we shoot, it's episode per day. At first, like, how are we gonna do that? I say, we're gonna do it, and I won't even say per day, because we spend like 8 hours shooting an episode, 25 minutes or 24 minutes, whatever it is. Done.
Right. Yeah, and I'm the same way. Every time I look at somebody's script, their resume, I always look to see if they did theater. If they did theater, I know that they're a whole different ball game when they get to set. It's just they're just different, and the way the differences between the two is incomparable to me. Just like you said, with theater, I think theater, the only thing about it is the rehearsals for me, because I'm so busy. I have so much going on in my daily life that the rehearsals are kind of difficult. So if I can't commit to doing the rehearsals, then I just won't do the play. But I love theater. I love the feeling of being on stage. I love having an audience to watch and to hear their reaction and just be engaged to it. It's almost like you're on TV, but in real life.
Yep. I think it brings that instant gratification, especially for the actors. You're getting real-time reaction, and especially when you get that good reaction, it's just like dopamine, like, just let's go. And I think I love that too. I normally sit in the back watching my home production, because I get to see the total reaction of the audience.
Now, what is the concept of Daniel's Den?
Boy, is this one funny. So let me throw something out there. If you like Martin, if you like Sanford and Son, if you like the Jeffersons, it's like a combination of them three things happening. It's about a retired grandfather who moved to Georgia to come and live his peaceful life. That don't want to be bothered, don't want to be seen. And upon him moving to Georgia, so happened that he has one daughter, and his daughter has one daughter. And his one daughter only come over about holiday time to see him. I'm gonna give him a long version. But he never want to deal with teenagers, because they can't stand teenagers, because he just think that they're rude, they're outdated. His timeline and their timeline is 2 different timelines, so he don't want to deal with them.
Right.
Short period of time. So unfortunately, something happened to his daughter that she now have to move her daughter south, and the only person she trusts to raise her daughter, he's her father. So upon him announcing that he don't want to raise no kids, don't want to be involved with, just leave me be. Doorbell rings and his daughter bring his granddaughter to come and live with him. And if that wasn't enough, shortly after, an Indian man moved next door to him that was extremely nosy and don't like staying in his house, but love to come to Daniel's house. So now you have that couple on top of it. So now his whole world starting to turn upside down. And he's starting to get really peed off because now he's having a granddaughter he don't want to deal with. You got a neighbor that he can't stand. And so the daughter that moves in, the grandmother for that daughter from the father's side, he don't like the father. And now this grandmother has to come and visit the granddaughter at his house.
Oh man.
And this grandmother has a friend that's all holy and roly always. And she comes in and he can't stand a bone in her hand or the Bible in her hand. And so when you put all that together, you get Daniel's den because it's all fire and brimstone. So it is.
How did you come up with that concept? Like what made you say, oh, I gotta make this into a TV series?
Okay, good question. When Heaven Invades Earth, I remember I just mentioned to you I normally watch my audience from the back, right, when I'm in the theater. So when Heaven Invades Earth, there's a storyline inside there where the grandfather and his granddaughter had a really close relationship. And so when I was watching it, I noticed that the audience reaction to that was so different from the rest of the acting and the production. For something, there was like some connectivity that was taking place. I don't know what it was, but it was magical, right? And so and each time I watched the play live, I would get the same reaction from different audience, right? And so I thought about it. I said, oftentimes I don't remember seeing a show where the grandfather has the responsibility to raise a granddaughter. And I say, you know what? That would be a lot different because it's either the grandmother raising the granddaughter or the father with his own daughter. But you're talking about a generation apart, right? There's a generation missing there, right? So I said, okay, you know what? Grandma is always playing a role. And this time I want grandfather to play a role. And I want it to be with granddaughter. And what that makes it look like when she is of the new age and doing everything techie, and he's still back in the whole age doing everything on paper type of deal. How you connect that two right there. And so I'm mapping it out, but I needed to bring more problem to his life. So I kind of blend in all the different characters, and boy, is it hilarious. I mean, it's funny. I mean,
this sounds really good. When do you plan on releasing it where people can see it?
So we're hoping to so we already done 4 episodes, and so because of the momentum that's behind it, we're gonna go ahead and start releasing in February. And we're looking to shoot the next 6 episodes to have the complete 10 episodes by March, or by the end of March. So that's the goal for that. But we're gonna start releasing the 4 episodes we have in February. And right now we plan to release it on our platform until we finish all 10 episodes. So we're gonna use Vimeo, because we have platforms set up on Vimeo, and so there's a project I put on Vimeo, and people's gone in just buy and watch it, and it did very well, even though people don't know about Vimeo. But it's all about owning your own material and having all rights to it. And I'm a big believer in that now. So I'm gonna encourage people, once it goes, to go to Vimeo, to watch it on Vimeo. It's the same thing, get your 4D, whatever, and enjoy it.
That is such a huge thing that you just said, owning your own material and promote and being 100% owner of it. How important is that, and what can you tell people about owning your own material?
Well, here's it. Number one, I think you got to trust the process, right? You got to trust the process, meaning trusting yourself to do what you're doing. Believing that you're not going to stop until you get it, all right? It's not finished until it's done. When you own your own stuff, and you have your ownership rights to the projects or whatever it is that you're building, your books, whatever it is, when it comes time, because there will come a time, if you stick with it, that you're going to get to that boardroom to meet with that person who wants your stuff. You have more negotiating power with those individuals versus when you just sell your stuff out, right? Rather than selling your stuff out, give them licensing rights to your stuff. You see what I'm saying? Don't ever just sell your stuff out. And if we don't learn from anybody, learn from Tyler Perry. Heck, he makes sure he holds everything. The Browns was done a long time before, and he shelved the thing until he got popular enough. Then he brought it back out. TBS picked it up. He owned it. So they can license it. Once they're paying him. You can take it to BET Plus. You know what I mean? It's yours.
That is very good.
Yeah, it's yours. So wherever you go, it goes. When you sell your stuff, it's a wrap. That's it. And content don't really. I can't say don't get old, but content is content, man. And it's you just gotta own your content.
Right. I think that's a huge thing. And as crazy as Kanye West is, people say he is. He talked a lot about owning your own stuff, which I truly believe he was telling the truth about. Own your own rights, everything. I definitely agree with that.
Some reason I think the people who speak on that platform sound crazy. Damian Dash, that's all he talks about.
Right. That's all he talks about. You're right.
That's all he talks about. Own your own stuff. And he's so aggressive, he's so over the top. But guess what? You understand the power of owning your own stuff.
That's very good, man. That is very good. Now, also, you had wrote another book. That the last book you wrote, "Secret of the Ambitious Mind." What is that? Now that sounds like a very deep book. Just the title of it.
You know what? If I should sum up that book in just one word, and it's not, and this thing is not a secret, right? It's sacrifice. The secret of the ambitious mind is not a secret, but it's a secret because a lot of people don't pay attention to it. It is sacrifice. It is simple as to say, how much are you willing to sacrifice to get your own, to build your own, to have your own? If you are willing to sacrifice yourself for it, then it's worth doing. If you're not willing to sacrifice yourself, don't even start the journey.
Right.
Because it's going to call for you to literally sacrifice yourself. And sacrificing yourself is like me. Like yourself, you work to the point where you find time to sleep when you're just like tired. You just can't stay awake. But as long as you're awake, you're going. And you require focus. It requires intentional focus. It requires consistency. When you're tired, you still gotta go. When you don't want to go, you still gotta go. I mean, ain't nobody gonna hand you nothing, right? So you always have to figure it out. You are the last voice in your head to say, okay, am I gonna keep on going? Or am I gonna stop? I don't care how much motivational video you listen to, how much TD Jakes you listen to. I don't care, how much. It doesn't matter. If you decide that you're gonna go, you're gonna go. If you decide you're gonna stop, you're gonna stop. You're it, and that's it. So in that book, I really deep dive into the idea that I really want us to own in on the person, the man in the mirror, because at the end of the day, everything else that we're gonna amass, and you buy all the motivational videos and the DVDs, you go to all the seminars, and you spend $1,000 buying. Listen, all that is good, but if you don't make that decision at the end of the day that you're willing to put the time in to get what you want out of it, then don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Don't even start it, because it's not gonna work. It won't work until you want to sacrifice yourself for the journey.
Right, man. You said some deep stuff, man, and I'm very happy about everything that you've been doing. I mean, you're an author, filmmaker, entrepreneur, mentor, playwright, producer, speaker, youth advocate. I'm sure there's more to it, but you do a lot, man. I don't know. We got about 5 minutes left. How do you balance everything, family and all the different jobs that you do? How do you balance it all?
So something I'm big on. I'm a position it like this, and it's all about being aware. Okay, so in the United States, right, retirement age now is like 67 years old, right? I mean, that's kind of the matrix, 67, right? life expectancy is about 78 years old on average.
Yep.
Right. So if you live your whole life to retire at 67, you only have about 11 more years to live.
Yep.
So imagine you work your whole life, school, from you start school, all up to 67. And after 67 years, you're going to retire after work a whole lifetime, only to leave 11 more years to fall over, drop dead. When you put that in perspective, you need to ask ourselves a question. The things that I do each and every day, am I enjoying, am I living my best life in the process of what I'm doing? And so my balance comes in where anything I'm doing, I want to feel life in doing it. Does that make sense? Like I want to feel life in doing it. If I feel like it's not breathing life back into me, I ain't doing it. So in that respect, is everything I'm doing, I don't have like, oh man, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to have no regrets in doing it.
Yeah.
So my kids, they're in sports. I make sure I'm there for that because you got 24 hours in a day, right? Sleep less. That's one thing. I sleep, maybe 4 or 5 hours. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, if you're trying to live, right? Somebody asked me, I said, when I'm dead, I will sleep. I'll rest then. And I'm not sure if you rest when you're dead. I don't know. But the point is, that's kind of how I function. My wife, she works long hours. But when she's not working long hours, we take short trips. We do vacations. We kind of specify those times. We always make sure we eat as much together as possible. When it's dinner time, we can spend that quality time together. I mean, we select different nights. We're like, it's just gonna be movie nights. We try to implement that. But when that's not happening, everything else my time is divided up among the things I'm doing. And at the same time, they're involved. I'm asking questions, share your thoughts on this, give me your feedback on this. So I feel like we're all in it together. So for the family, this is really a family thing, everything I'm doing, because if they're not comfortable with me doing it, it makes it more difficult to do. So I have to seek their support in what I'm doing, right? My son, he made music, he made beats. So he's always working, he studies beats online, he's promoting his book. So it's like, it's a family affair when it comes on to the business part of it. And so everything's kind of just flow. So it's just really about managing time, managing time. Don't stress it, and then the last piece of it is surround yourself with people that breathe back energy into you as you're breathing out. So you don't feel like your days are just like mundane or just exhausted by people sucking energy from you constantly. And you're just like, oh man, I can't face tomorrow, so that's kind of my mindset, so, I know people's like, oh, I'll do this. And no, I'm living my life right now. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I want to live right now. Like this moment right here counts. My attention is right here. What I mean? Because this moment right here counts. And so that's kind of how I function.
Yeah, man, everything you said is right on the money. I agree with you. You definitely have to have balance in your home. You have to have balance in your business. You have to know how to shuffle things around and make things work, and have people around you, like I said, that understand, support you, believe in you, want to see you successful. You want to see them successful. That's what it's all about. And, you just seem like you live in it. And I appreciate you for everything you're doing, man, and everything you've given us on the show today.
I appreciate you for having me on, man. It's been a thrill.
No doubt. Now, how can people reach you? What's your social media information?
Well, on Instagram, it's the number 7 ambitious mind, of course. Number 7 ambitious mind. Facebook is pretty much Shawn Hutchinson. And of course, my website is IamShawnRHutchinson.com. IamShawnRHutchinson.com.
Okay.
So they can reach me there, of course.
On Instagram, I saw _Shawn Hutchinson.
They may have that, but I think on Instagram it's supposed to be 7 ambitious mind.
7 ambitious
numbers,
mind.
Yeah, just the number 7 ambitious mind. I do have Hutch and Hutch production that we haven't really done a lot of marketing just yet because we're gonna put everything underneath that. But to follow me right now is 7 ambitious mind.
All right. And on that note, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show. It has been a pleasure. You have a lot going on, and I can't wait to see Daniel's Den.
Man,
I can't wait to see.
That
sounds hilarious.
Wait for it, man. I I can't.
And when is Burning Bridges coming out? Or is it
Well,
already
that's
out?
out already. We just
Okay.
took it back down and break it up, and gonna do like a 3-part episode. So we're gonna put back out that in February as well. The new movie we're working on now called Made for More. That's the movie we're gonna start working on in about 2 months. Made for More.
Okay.
So people can look out for that one. That's gonna be one dope project right there. But you learn more about that as well.
Hey man, and you know I'm an actor as well. So if you need me for anything, I'm here.
Listen, I know the director that knows you.
With that being said, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show. God bless you on your journey and your endeavors, man. I support you 100%. I went to see your stage play, one of your stage plays I saw. I think it was Karma that I saw.
Yeah.
Way back, because Tiffany was directing it, like you said, and we've been friends for a good little while. So congratulations on everything you're doing. We at WCEGWood, Hollywood of the South, support you. And I hope we can bring you back again later in the future and talk about some of the other stuff you got going on.
And looking forward to it.
All right, man.
For sure.
I appreciate you. And this is Wardell Richardson on WCEGWood, Hollywood of the South. We will be back in 2 weeks with another guest. And we are signing out. Peace.